Hi everyone! Today we're here with Adriana to give you a more in-depth introduction to a new project which involves some very cute felines. Those of you who follow our updates more closely might remember that there's been some action in this project already, but here we're gonna start from the basics. So first of all, hi Adriana!
Hi Maya, and hello to everyone who is watching.
Okay, so let's start, or maybe you could start with explaining where this project is taking place and who we are partnering with.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. I'll try to give a bit of context for the project. So our partner in this project is Rewilding Argentina, and the project is taking place in the Iberá park, which is in the north of the country. It's a very big area, over 750,000 hectares of mainly wetlands, but also grasslands and some forest. And Rewilding Argentina have been working here for many years, so like close to 20 years, trying to basically build back the pieces of the puzzle of this ecosystem. Because in history, for different reasons, many of the big mammals that used to live here have disappeared completely. And one of these big mammals is our cute feline, the ocelot, which also has been basically has gone extinct from the Iberá National Park. And so Rewilding Argentina have been working to reintroduce this many times keystone species back to this environment. And ocelot is basically the next step in this process.
Okay, nice. So you said that many of these mammals have disappeared, including the ocelot. Could you explain a bit why? Like, tell us why that has happened? What is the reason behind their disappearance?
So it's a combination of things, but with the ocelot, it was a big hunting pressure since the 60s until the 80s. And I read somewhere that as many as 100,000 furs were traded annually. So, you know, over the decades, it could have been millions of animals that were hunted down. And in many places, basically to extinction, including in the province where Rewilding Argentina is working. And now it's mainly habitat loss that's causing problems. Also, in the area where the project is taking place, in the past it used to be cattle ranching, and a lot of the area has been also logged. So deforestation is a big threat for the species, especially in the Amazon, because ocelots have a wide distribution. Their range goes from Mexico all the way to Argentina. So it's different pressures in different places, but currently it's habitat loss. So just to go back to the fur trade, it was banned in the 80s, and since then populations have been managing to recover in some places, but in the Iberá Park, the ocelots haven't been able to bounce back. So the idea is to help them by bringing them back and releasing them, bringing them back from different places or different countries, and reintroducing them back to the park.
Yeah, okay. So where are the ones, well, yeah, no, let's start with, like, this is, you mentioned that this is more, well, it sounds like a very big project, right? And as I understood, we're only part or like involved in part of it, right? So could you explain a bit that part, like what is our involvement and how big is this project?
So the project takes place over 6 years, and the overall goal is to release at least 15 animals in this time. We as Mossy Earth are funding 1 year of the project, so the third year specifically. We are funding the handling and release of 6 animals, and the goal is to release at least 4 animals in this time, but if things go well, then maybe all 6 of them. Like you said, some action has already taken place. So 2 of these ocelots were released already back in December. They are called Tommy and Luna. It's a male and a female, and they also had a cub while they were still in captivity. And this cub is now basically getting ready for release, and hopefully in March it will be released also. There is a process to the release. So the animals that are basically in the preparation process now all come from captivity. This is because it's administratively easier to basically handle cats from captivity, and also reintroductions are not really common thing in South America, so there are not really processes in place for these kind of reintroductions. So the team from Rewilding Argentina are kind of paving the way also, maybe for some future work of other organizations in the country. And the animals some of them come from Argentina, from zoos. Some have been brought also from Brazil to increase the genetic diversity. And the hope is that maybe in the future it will be possible also to bring wild animals, so to basically translocate from other countries or other places where the populations are healthy. And yes, I think this is all I can say.
Yeah, okay. What about when they're released to the park? How are they expected to affect the national park and like the already existing life there? So like, what is their role in the ecosystem?
Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll start by talking a little bit about the process of the reintroduction, because it kind of then I can lead on to the role of the species in the ecosystem. But basically, because these animals are all captive, they need to learn how to survive in the wild. So they spend some time in these pre-release pens, which are basically these huge enclosures that mimic the natural environment. And the goal is there that they learn how to take care of themselves, and they learn how to hunt. Because in captivity, they didn't have to use this skill, so they, but in the wild they'll really need it. So the goal of this pre-release period is that they reconnect with their instinct and their hunting, and practice their hunting skills. And this is their role in the ecosystem. They are, ocelots are the third biggest cat in the Americas, so they are a top predator, and they have this is their role in the ecosystem. So once they are brought back to Iberá, they will basically revive some ecological relationships that are currently missing there, specifically through competition with other carnivores and with other predators, and through predation. Predators, they have a role in keeping basically prey populations in check, and this is not just directly by hunting them, but there is this, when the predator is present in the ecosystem, there is this effect that we call the ecology of fear. So also the prey starts behaving a little bit differently. Basically, when the prey, like let's say some capybaras or some deer, when they know that the predator is around, they need to be more vigilant. They spend a lot more time trying to avoid the predator and not get eaten. So they themselves have less time for eating and for mating, you know. So the predator has this effect just by being present, has this effect on the population dynamic of its prey. And what happens if we then remove this predator is that capybaras or deer, they can, you know, become overpopulated, they overgraze, so they deteriorate the ecosystem. And this is what we're seeing in Iberá now, that the capybaras, for instance, are overgrazing certain areas because they just don't have a reason to move, because, you know, there are no predators, so they just stay in one place, and they put a lot of pressure on it. So the hope is, you know, that as these pieces of the puzzle are slowly put back again, that you know, all these ecological relationships come to life again, and the whole ecosystem will become healthier. Another example is also the relationship with other predators. So the ocelots compete with foxes, but they also prey on foxes. And also another thing that is observed when these top predators are removed is that these what are called mesopredators, they all of a sudden have all this free space, so they can become overpopulated. And this is also something that happened in Iberá, that there are a lot of foxes, and they are putting a lot of pressure, especially on birds. So they you know, hunt a lot of birds, and they bring the numbers down. So, you know, the hope is that these will start rebalancing again, as these species start coming back.
Wow, that sounds amazing. It's like this, like, it sounds first a bit sad with all the fear that these animals will have, but it brings balance to the whole ecosystem. That's really impressive, or like amazing, I think. But
exactly.
yeah,
Every species has its role in the ecosystem, so, you know, we can't judge it through our human eyes. You know, the predators have their role, and the grazers have their role, and it all has to be there to function well. So this, you know, this is something that has evolved over hundreds of thousands, or if not millions of years. So yeah, and when you start removing these elements, the whole system starts to break down, and it is to the detriment of all the species in the end. So
yeah, like you wouldn't think that an ocelot would affect, you know, plants. Well, at least, you know, of course, if you know a bit more about it, you know that that's how it goes. But yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so once they are released, I assume they will be monitored also, and the ecosystem as well?
Yes. So these ocelots that are released, they are fitted with GPS collars, so the team can monitor how they're doing, you know, if they're eating well, if they're healthy. Later, in the later stages, this will move more towards monitoring the population, not so much the individuals. So through camera trapping, making sure, you know, that seeing if the animals are reproducing, you know, having offspring, and also the organization works with researchers and with universities that are looking at you know, the effects of these reintroductions on the whole ecosystem, and also on, let's say, carbon uptake, you know. So when we talked about the reducing the grazing pressure, you know, the effect on the plant community. So there is, it's a very holistic approach. I also haven't mentioned that the organization works with local communities as well to increase the acceptance of these animals. And before, the economy was like heavily built on cattle grazing, but now basically it's shifting towards this economy of nature. So the former cattle rangers have trained to be nature guides, and now there is this whole like thriving ecotourism built around the national park, and with and the people are welcoming these animals, because with every reintroduced species, especially these charismatic ones, it increases the value, the tourism value of the area as well. So this project builds on years of work of Rewilding Argentina. So they have worked for 10 years previously to bring back the jaguar, which was a big task, and they have developed relationships with the community, and they're also supporting this bioeconomy development in the region. So it's a really nice holistic work, and it's a lot of inspiration for us also as Mossy Earth, as we are starting our own projects, and we are hoping to do something similar in Ecuador, which is what we'll talk about in the next video. But yes, it's a really, for me, it's a really inspirational project and a really kind of visionary work.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, with people living more, I guess, in balance with their surrounding nature. That's great. Okay, but are there still, I mean, it does sound like a lot of the risks that the ocelots faced before have been eliminated to some degree at least, but are there still any risks associated with this project?
Yes, so with these big predators, there can always be potential for human-wildlife conflict, and as the population in the park grows and the ocelots start dispersing into the populated areas, there could become conflicts if the ocelots, like for example, hunt the chickens or the small calves of the farmers. So this is something that is expected to happen over time, but the team in Rewilding Argentina are aware of this, and they're also will be addressing this. They have been working with the farmers previously to kind of adjust some of the kind of ways in which the cattle is kept and raised. For instance, so the cattle doesn't have young all year around, so that but that's they manage it in a way where the cattle only have young maybe for 2 or 3 months, so the farmers can keep a better check on the calves, because the calves is what the predators would take, so as to reduce losses from these big cats such as jaguars and pumas and ocelots. So yes, so this could be a potential conflict in the future, but they're really thinking about that and working to reduce it to the minimum.
What about, I don't know if there is any information about this, but what about the fact that these cats have been, or cats, I don't know if you can call them cats.
Yeah, you can call them cats. Big cats.
Yeah, okay. I love cats. But anyway, so what about the fact that they've been in captivity before? Is there any risk expected because of that they wouldn't fully adapt to wildlife? I mean, they have been kind of training to be in wildlife before, but still. Has there been any discussions about that?
It's a good question. I don't have experience myself with this process, but I imagine that each animal is assessed individually. So during the pre-release period and the training period. So the people who have experience in this, they can judge if the animal is ready to be released, or if it will be ready. And there's also the fact that they are monitored individually, each of them, especially at the start, and especially these captive ones. So I imagine, if they really see that the animal is having a problem with hunting and keeping healthy in the wild, they can always take them back. But a lot of reintroductions are done with captive animals, and especially if they're young, the instinct is quite strong. So I think maybe people who have cats at home, they know that even though you feed the cat and it spends half of the exactly, even though the cat spends half of the life on the sofa, then if you let it out, it will bring some birds and some mice to your doorstep. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay, great. What about the long-term vision? Like, I can imagine that is spectacular, really, by the sounds of how it will affect the ecosystem. But yeah, how do you see that if everything goes well? What will the future look like for this area?
So I can say what the vision of Rewilding Argentina is, what we discussed. So they're hoping that Iberá will become a source of animals for other future reintroductions either in Argentina or in other places in South America. And not just for ocelots, but also for all these other species that they are working to bring back, such as the jaguars and giant otters and giant anteaters and tapirs. So they're doing really like a big multi-species rewilding, long-term work. So they're hoping, that Iberá will become like a prime example of how people and nature can coexist, and that once the ecosystem is healthy and the populations are healthy and growing, that they can then supply animals to other areas for other rewilding projects.
Wow, that's great. Okay, and do you have anything else you want to mention before we stop?
I think we've covered everything. I'm looking forward to following this project. I think it's a very charismatic species, and it's nice to I'm glad that we'll be putting a bit of spotlight on some work happening in South America as well. And it will be just really exciting and a nice project to follow.
Yeah, for sure. And as usual, we will update information about this project to the project page, the project page will come out together with this video, I believe, and also there will be updates about it in general, and there is going to be a video as well, right?
Yes, so Duarte will be filming in February, so yes, there is going to be a video, and it's going to be really nice. I look forward to it. I look forward to also hearing and seeing more from the work on the ground and from the people that do the work.
Yes, exactly. A lot to look forward to for all of us. But yeah, anyway, more information will be on our website at mossy.earth to begin with, at least. And yeah, that's it, I think. So thank you so much, and until next time.
Thank you. Bye.